Hey, if we can get all division soups and branches up here to the front to your assigned seat, please. We're going to get started here in about 30 seconds. Okay, good morning. I've got 0700. We'll get started with today's operational briefing for July 18th, 2021. As a reminder, please silence your cell phones, turn down your radios, and keep all side conversations outside the briefing area so everybody gets a good briefing. My name is Chris Carrera, the Plan Section Chief for IMT1. We'll get started with the incident situation update.
Testing. Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Name's Josh Campbell. I'm the Night Ops for Team 1. Starting down here in Branch 1, Division... Whoa, I knew that. Starting in Branch 1, Division Alpha, and I'm going to do Alpha and Bravo together. This is looking really good along the line here. Are still having a little bit of a problem because the winds did push on them yesterday, so they're keeping an eye on that. But our problem is on this left flank is Division Papa. We did have some slops across the line. The biggest one was about a quarter acre. I think we had a half a dozen or so, and they got in there and got line around them, and they're monitoring them right now. Moving up into Quebec, crews continue to push dozer line up there, working to drop point 100. The problem is they're running into rocks in a lot of places, and they're going to have hand crews in order to finish that. Branch 10 in Romeo, that's where the Forest Service did some work up in there, a contingency line. That's going to be our primary line now. This fire is moving on us, and that's our concern on this flank over here. We need to make sure we button that up, but we can't leave this other side open as well. So as we come down into Sierra, last night we made the decision with the branch over there to take the crews and punch up right behind the pin stalks and take this ridge line all the way to the top and tie it into that dozer line up top. They have a little section in the bottom to finish this morning. I just didn't want them doing it at night last night. It was too steep. And then working down into Division Whiskey. This fire is not where it's at right now. It's almost bumping the tracks, and it is come across the tracks in one spot right by the town of Story, but they did pick it up, so they should have success in there this morning, but be careful because the winds do pick up in the evening and it will push right at the river. In a report.
Thank you, Josh. Okay, moving on to the incident objectives. Management objectives. Utilize the risk management process to identify and mitigate hazards to protect firefighters and the public. Emphasize strategies and tactics that have the highest probability of success and the least exposure to firefighters and the public. Develop strategies to protect life, property, communities, businesses, and infrastructure. Employ tactics that fulfill these strategies and will be mindful of the necessity for contingency and emergency plans. Ensure strategies account for incident priorities, applying resources to those with the highest consequences first. Follow COVID-19, CDC, and establish local, state, and federal guidelines to limit the virus spread within the incident and surrounding communities near the fire area. Provide timely and continuous incident information to affected agency partners, cooperators, and the public. And maintain fiscal accountability and keep costs commensurate with values at risk. Control objectives. Keep the fire north of Polga Bridge. Keep the fire south of Humbug Summit Road. Keep the fire east of Flea Mountain. And keep the fire west of Bucks Lake. Incident weather.
Good morning, Julia Rithford with Fire Weather. So for today, we've got a very complicated and critical weather pattern coming up, especially as we get later on into the afternoon and evening. As far as the surface weather elements go, temperature-wise, we'll be a couple of degrees warmer than we were yesterday. It's going to continue to be dry with the minimum relative humidities down into the low teens, and the winds are going to follow the same pattern we saw yesterday with the northeast down canyon winds lasting through about 0900 or 1000, them dying off, having an hour or two of more squirrely, mostly upslope winds through late morning, and then the southwesterly up canyon winds picking up after that. Those winds will increase into the 10 to 15 mile an hour range, gusts 20 to 25 up on the ridges. Those up canyon winds will last through around 2000 or so. Then you'll have another couple hours of lighter wind with the northeast winds pushing in later on in the evening and continuing through the overnight hours. What's changing with the forecast that's making this so much more critical of a pattern today is we're getting some more mid-level monsoonal moisture moving into the area. Why that matters is because when we start to get the column building taller and that more moisture is available for it, once it gets to a certain point, we're going to start seeing pyrocumulus, the big white fluffy cloud on top of the smoke column, forming likely by early afternoon. And with all that extra instability around, it's got a very good potential to see that column growing very quickly after you get the first pyrocumulus on top of it. We could see that column getting very tall this afternoon and evening, potential for some lightning strikes out of that. And with the way the terrain's oriented up here, there's also potential to see some rotation out of that column. What would be causing that is the southwest winds up the valley, and then up here in Chip Creek drainage, the up canyon wind there would be southeast turning to east and then looping around. If that location is where the pyrocumulus forms, that will really enhance that up valley wind, and you get a lot more inflow than you normally would in that drainage. So what that will do is you'll have southeast winds at the lowest elevations and then southwest right above it, and that's going to converge right on where that column would be forming. So potential for real critical fire weather conditions up there with those large columns growing quickly in the afternoon. The other piece of the forecast is that we'll also see some thunderstorm potential outside of the column coming into the area. That's most likely going to start occurring early tomorrow morning. About 4 to 7 a.m. is the most likely start time on that. It's going to be pretty isolated, few and far between with the storms. Probably I'd put it at a 10 or 20% chance of them getting here specifically, but outflow winds will be a major hazard out of those. So with all that, this is a really important day to be heads up on what's going on with the fire weather. I'll be sending out updates as needed, so listen for those and have a really safe shift out there.
Fire behavior.
Good morning, Sean Norman. I'm going to give you a fire behavior forecast for today. If you turn to page 4 in your IEP, you're going to see the ERC chart for the Northern Sierra PSA. I want you to take note of something in there. We talk about the ERC a lot, and I want to make sure that you understand what that is. It's really the mash together of the weather's impact on our fuels and the amount of energy that can be released at the head of the fire. So if you look today and where we've been, we're at about 85%. That represents the 97th percentile. So over the last 30 years, less than 3% of the days have matched the potential of this fire here today. So that's an important factor for you to keep in the back of your head, and that really plays into what we're looking at on our fire behavior. So when we look at branch 1 in that canyon, we've got that predominant southwest flow, and that's going to keep flanking that fire up the canyon all day. And then you'll see it chunk down towards the highway, and so I would expect you to have the normal flanking type behavior with some wind at its back and rollout, and anytime that rollout gets aligned in a drainage, you can have that thing make a run up out of that drainage, and I think that's what we saw going on up there yesterday. As that progresses up towards Tobin, Tobin's the narrowest point in the canyon, the entire Feather River Canyon. It's the closest place that land touches land between the the river there. So it's very narrow, and there's a good fuel bed to this side that anything that gets established over there, you can see rapid rates of spread in very steep terrain. So, and it's difficult access. So expect that potential to be there today. The one component that we're adding today, as the meteorologist suggested, is that turbulent fire behavior that we can get, or wind pattern from that rotating column, or any downdrafts coming out of the column itself, or a thunderstorm, maybe perhaps as much as 20 miles away, we can get a gust an outflow boundary gust front that will come down. So we could have some turbulent wind in that canyon today, which could cause you fits. So you need to pay attention to that. I would expect until about 1500 though to see your normal flanking down slope fire behavior, and then after 1500 have those other effects come into account. Coming around up into branch 10, that's probably the area that's going to have the most dynamic fire behavior today. It's still on a fairly young fuel bed, and it's going to that rotating column. If it builds over that Chips Creek, we could most certainly see finally some long-range spotting, true long-range spotting out of it. It's a lot of open country up there, not a lot of timber left. There are some patches. If the fire gets established into a patch of timber, today might be the day that we actually see some group torching and maybe even some isolated crown runs. And the only reason they'll remain isolated is there's just not a continuous timber stand left up there. Coming around into branch 5, that wind's been your friend all week. It's been keeping this fire long and narrow and slowly progressing it. I think you'll be fairly representative of that today as well. However, by the afternoon, that column could change the dynamics. Today might be the first day that we see this fire do some big things and really chunk on some significant acreage. It's been fairly small amounts every day. Today we might see some bigger acreage come in. And with that, I would just say today is the highest potential for some long-range spotting and more aggressive fire behavior that's resistant to your control efforts. Have a safe shift.
Thank you. Operational work assignments?
Good morning, Merrick Fields, Operations for Incident Management Team 1. You've just heard some doom and gloom from the meteorologist and the fire behavior. We want to set the tempo for today. This fire's got some potential. I'm not going to beat it up. I've really emphasized to the divisions and the branches to have a plan for today. We expect some growth on the north end of this fire. So if you're up there, it shouldn't be a surprise. If it does it, we're going to back up a little bit, and as soon as it settles down, we're going to get back in there and re-engage. So laces is the key word for today. For our work assignments, for Division Alpha, Bravo, and Foxtrot, things are looking really good in there. We're mopping up, securing that line. We're shooting for 300 feet, mopped up in there, and then we'll start moving some of those resources around. Coming up into Division Mike, we had some struggles on the north end of the division yesterday. We're going to get in there and reinforce that and start mopping up. And again, 300 feet mop up is the ultimate goal. Papa right there in that dog leg, we've got a couple of spot fires across the line. Those have all been rung. We need to get in there and make sure that those are mopped up. And then again, on the main fires, start taking the heat out of that so that we don't have any more issues. The dozer line coming up out of Papa to tie into Quebec, we've got a lot of dozer line in there. Some of it's plumbed. There's a clump up in there, but there's still a short section in between the two divisions that we need to get tied in by hand. That's going to be critical to get in there and get that piece tied in, because the whole entire left flank is our #1 priority for this fire, to get that buttoned up so that it's not threatening the communities to the west of the fire. Moving up into the upper end of Division Quebec, we were going to go across the ridge line there north of the Chips Creek drainage. I don't think that we've got the time, so we're going to go all the way up from drop point 1 and come around. So we're going to start getting dozers up in there, working on that contingency line, tying into what the Forest Service had done previously, and then bring it back in around to Division Sierra. Coming out of Division Sierra there at DP2, we've got some dozer work in there in the middle of it. The crews are going to be in there. There's a short piece of line that we've got to get cut in down there at the bottom of it and get that piece tied in and prepped in the event that this thing does make it that far. Moving down into Division Whiskey, the fire's chunking down in towards the river, or excuse me, the railroad tracks. That's what we want it to do. We just need to, as it gets down to the railroad tracks, we need to get in there and start mopping up where we can. And as it continues to progress northern, we need to keep it on the correct side of the railroad tracks. Thank you, and have a safe shift.
Yeah, thank you. Branch and Division 204 roll call.
Good morning, BJ Corey, Resource Unit Leader with Team 1. This will be the branch and division roll call. So branches and divisions, as you hear your name, please stand, face the back of the crowd so everybody can see and hear you. And we'll get started with branch 1. Petro. Here. Wallen. Here. Alpha Bravo will be Finney. Here. Division Sierra, Bergstrand. Here. Whiskey, Watner. Here. Branch 5, Dyer. Division Foxtrot, we have a change, will be Coos. Here. Mike will be Darrington. Here. Papa Clellan. Here. Branch 10, Felix. Here. Quebec, Hollister. Romeo will be a change to Mancebo. Contingency, Norman. And Jerry. Road group, Guy. Thank you, everybody, and have a safe shift.
Air operations.
Good morning, everyone. Thomas Smith, Air Operations. I want to start with my first two priorities. Communications. If you guys look on your 205 or on the 220, you'll see there's an air-to-ground command and an air-to-ground. The boots on the ground will be communicating with the water-dropping helicopters, assisting you on air-to-ground. Air-to-ground command is for division group soups and above. So I just want to be clear on that. My second item, the first night it caused a problem. Yesterday we had another drone sighting, not the bald eagle. There was an actual drone on the fire yesterday evening as well. We're aware of them. We're working with the sheriffs as well. If you guys see one, confirm it, report it up, make sure air attack's aware, and if it's going to affect our air operations, we will cease air operations. For the lineup today, we will have fixed wing early up. For the rotor wing side of things, we have 6 Type 1 water dropping helicopters, 2 Type 2, 3 Type 3. Our National Guard, our guard assets are 6 Type 1 guard assets, one of them being ALS hoist. And otherwise, you guys have a great day. Be safe out there and monitor air to ground.
Thank you. Communications.
Good morning, Tom Webb, Communications Unit Leader. So in addition to all the fire safety stuff you have to think about today, we're going to throw a clone day on top of you with a command net frequency change. So it's very important you come over and get clone this morning. We have special frequencies in today's radio load that aren't in the state load. You need to come and get a clone from us this morning, please. So we got the NIFC system started up yesterday and installed. One repeater's up on Bald Eagle Mountain. The other one's down in the valley a little bit, and then one on Sawmill Peak. The testing we did yesterday had very good coverage over the incident. Command 2, NIFC Command 2 and NIFC Command 10, the 2 primary repeaters, are up on the hill on Bald Eagle and up in the canyon. With those frequencies, though, in your mobile radios in the state load, you have to select Tone 2 to access them. So with that, select Tone 2. You should be able to hit those repeaters around the fire area. We had good coverage up in Branch 10 with that, off of the Bald Eagle, off of Command 10. So you should be able to have good communications over the incident today. It's also then very important to use good radio etiquette. So when you're talking on the radio, hold it out in front of you, holding it straight up and down to get the most out of your radio, looking at the mountaintop you are trying to access so that you can hit that repeater and be able to get into the system so that we can help you. If there's any questions, come and see us over in the comm unit. We've got lots of guys over there set up for cloning. We're there to assist you and coach you on your radio needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Medical.
Good morning, Josh Daly, Medical IMT 1. Please turn to page 18 in your IAP. The line medics will meet in the division breakouts after the ops briefing. A write-in for your IAP. We have a 4x4 ambulance. It will be at drop point 100. As we get more, we will meet with ops and go through communications to get them out there to you. We do have 2 REMS unit, REMS 2 and 3, both ALS capable. REMS 2 has a UTV, and they're both designated to branch 10 right now, and we'll look for opportunities for them. Your day hoist BLS is 205, and then we also have 822, a National Guard ship that is 24-hour ALS hoist. In camp, you have CalMat over by feeding. They have an MD, they have COVID testing, they'll give you any supplies or needs. We also have MERT that's by the CDC sleeping, also have a PA and COVID testing. For any reporting out on the line or in camp, I need you to look at box 6, which is the bottom half of the IEP for the 206, the medical plan. On there is the emergency reporting, and also there's a phone number that's a direct emergency line into comms should you have any emergency. Please follow those directions and have a safe shift.
Thank you. Safety.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Brad Niven, Safety Officer with Incident Management Team 1. COVID safety. COVID is real. COVID is here. Please make sure that you're washing your hands, you're wearing masks when appropriate. If you're sick, please don't come into camp. Please notify your supervisor. Please don't keep working and get checked out. Thunderstorm and lightning safety. Fire weather talked about it. Fire behavior talked about it. Page 21 in your IRPGs has some really good information. I'd ask that you document that with your troops on a tailgate safety session. Escape routes and safety zones. Long transit times in and off this fire line, right? Let's not count on the roads being your escape routes in and off the fire line. We've seen some very dynamic rates of spread these last few years. The roads may not be a viable alternative to get out of here. So with the safety zones, we may need to increase the size of those safety zones today. Let's take the time to do that, and today might be the day that we don't stray too far away from those safety zones. Thanks.
Logistics.
Good morning, Jesse Morris, Logistics. If you could please turn to page 31 in your IEP, you'll find a facility map with all of your logistical needs in camp. On page 21 is our service schedule for camp for all of your needs for those. On page 23 is the CAL FIRE 101 form, and this form is for items that you may have left on the line or got damaged. You'll need a division group soup signature in order to get those out of supply. On page 24 is the information needed prior to calling communications with any mechanical issues, so please get familiar with that form and get all that information gathered before calling the comm unit. Reminder that the SAC lunches are 24-hour lunches. It's one per person. Please continue to follow the traffic plan in camp, park in the designated areas, and sleep in the designated sleeping areas. Have a good shift. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Information.
Good morning, Emily Smith, Public Information, IMT 1. If you could please join me on page 26 in your IEP in the Public Information section, and I have some numbers for you to fill in. All right, the current acreage is 15,074 acres at 15% containment with 1,669 personnel assigned. At the top of the page, you'll find the information and media line, so if you come across the public or media out there while you're working, please refer them to that line, and we can assist them with what they may need. Also on this page is the CAL FIRE and federal social media policies. We please ask that all of you adhere to those policies while on this incident. And if you have photos or video content that you would like to post or share, please have those vetted through us at the PIO trailer prior to posting those. And we'd also like to collect those as well for documentation of the incident. We do have a lost and found set up at the PIO trailer behind all of you, as well as mail service is being delivered here to incident base. The address is below. And additionally, we are doing a Facebook Live update on the incident every evening at 7 p.m. So if you'd like to follow that, it's the CAL FIRE BTU Facebook page. Thank you.
Thank you. Liaison.
Good morning, Brandon Gunn, Liaison Officer, IMT 1. Any cooperating or assisting agencies, please come see us in the Liaison shop located behind the briefing area, and we also have a cooperators meeting every day here at 10 o'clock underneath this. Thank you.
Law Enforcement Liaison.
Good morning, everybody. Todd Crawford, IMT 1, Law Enforcement Liaison. So evacuation warnings and orders remain the same at this point. In Plumas County, we have warnings in Belden and the Caribou area. We also have evacuation orders for the High Lakes, Story, Tobin, and Rock Creek areas. For Butte County, warnings remain in effect for Polga and the Philbrook areas. We still have forest closures in place. That may be expanding today. Highway 70 remains open and closely monitored by CHP. And with all the possible weather activity today, we're going to be staying real close with operations, and we may have some changes in evacuations if needed. Thank you.
Finance.
Good morning. Shannon Thompson, Time Unit, Team 1. Please turn your IEP to page 27 for the finance message. Additionally, for their federal counterparts, we are trying to work on a time unit for you guys still. We have one order, but it should be filled soon. And also for the LG folks, we have an OES rep in the same building as us. And we are all located in the same building where you guys checked in at. Thank you. Have a great day.
Agency Administrator.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Scott Tangenberg, and I'm the Agency Administrator for both the Lassen National Forest and the Plumas National Forest. I'm here doing my best to represent their interests, but really what I want to highlight is that we're here to represent your interests, and hopefully your interest is the same thing, which is mine. Safely get around this fire, but do so in a way that doesn't put you at any unnecessary risk. You heard a lot today about weather and fuels and fire behavior. If today is the day that you focus absolutely on making sure that you're taking care of yourself and your crew, not that you don't do that every day, but if this is the day that you put even that extra amount of effort in, that's what our primary interest is. Be there for yourselves, for each other, have a safe shift, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you. Final comments from the Incident Commander.
Good morning. George Wong, Deputy Incident Commander, one of the Unified Incident Commanders for IMT-1. Dynamic firefight. We're representing three different jurisdictions: Plumas County, Butte County, Lassen National Forest, and this is definitely a hard firefight. Remember, it doesn't matter what patch you wear: Cal Fire, Forest Service, Orange County, local government, hired equipment. We're here for the community. As you guys are out there fighting fires, driving through Polga, Philbrook, etc., remember, this community's been through a lot in the last few years. Remember, who we work for is for the communities. And I'm gonna make this additionally really brief because we wanna get out to the line. Situational awareness, constantly preach that. Today's the day. Listen to your radios, brief branches and divisions, brief your folks on your divisions, because if the weather changes, pay attention to what's going on, and we'll constantly keep you updated. Other than that, have a great day.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, going over the breakout locations, please don't start moving until I'm through the list so everybody knows where they're at. First off, unassigned resources, back where you picked up your IEP, see Resource Unit Leader Corey to get you an assignment. He's back there raising his hand. Okay, stage left, your right, starting with Division Alpha, Bravo, Whiskey, Foxtrot. To my right, your left, Division Mike, Papa, Romeo, Quebec, and Sierra. Road group will be right outside the briefing area. Meet up with your folks. That'll conclude today's operational briefing. Next briefing tomorrow, 0700. Don't forget to turn on your phones and your radios. Thank you. Have a great day.